Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by our head correspondent, Myron Fancher. What's going on, buddy?
Hold on. Reading a last-minute text message from the Georgia Podcasting Commission. I cannot hop on my desk and smoke a joint after the show.
No.
So, it's something that just came in from the Georgia Podcasting Commission. Apparently, there's been some odd things happening in combat sports in Georgia, but we won't have any part of that here on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. No.
We'll have a little bit to do with it.
I pop up on a desk anyway.
You could. You might feel sorry for the desk, but you could.
Well, this desk is made with 2x4s, just in case.
Okay, well, then it's going to be good to go. But listen, you teased that, and I'm like, down the road, we're going to be involved in it a little bit.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, I'm working on that. And I promise you, if you were going to do it, the first place you would find it is over on our YouTube channel. Make sure you're heading over there, liking, subscribing, turn your notifications on, all that great stuff. Because, you get, if you become a member there, not just a subscriber, members, you can also get stuff early, get the show early, get some exclusive content, just like on our Patreon, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. We've got some stuff now that's only available on the $10 levels or higher that we're doing. The interviews are coming early. It's like, look, the show, you get it a day early, but when we do interviews, like, look, the one that I did with Glacier was days early because I did it on a Thursday and we didn't release it till a Monday. So lots of that stuff comes in really, really early. So for
prime content you get early or exclusively. See, I'm sponsored just like them, like WB by Logan Paul also.
Yeah. But look, man, we got a ton to cover. We are going to do a questions episode. And the mailbag was full, so we went and opened it up and pulled out a few. So, man, let's just dive right in and start firing off some of the questions.
There's some dynamite questions in the bag. I've looked over them. I'm going to surprise you with them today, Nick. And our friend Patrick Brewer from Benson, North Carolina. Did the WWE make the right move having AJ beat LA Knight for a shot at Cody Rhodes? Oh, now this is a pay-per-view coming up.
Backlash.
Looking forward to this pay-per-view in France. The boy from Georgia, the two boys from Georgia, facing off in France.
Yep. Cool fact, by the way. Wrap your head around this. It wasn't after WrestleMania. There won't be another U.S. pay-per-view until SummerSlam.
How about them apples, folks?
Cute fact number 2. Is this the first time 2 Georgia State high school wrestling champions has wrestled for a WWE championship? Cool fact.
Oh.
So
beautiful. Just beautiful, folks. The amazing things they're doing. Hell, Cody Rhodes was on they were on a house show in England the other day. England, a house show, did 16,000 people at a house show. The WWE appeal, the appeal of professional wrestling overseas is dynamite. And these 2 Georgia boys are going to be on a pay-per-view in France. So, Nick, did they make the right decision?
Yes. Probably not for the reasons I think. My reasoning is it's probably not what everybody else thinks. Look, AJ's Teflon, the loss at Mania, clearly didn't matter. He's right. He lost at Mania, and the next pay-per-view, he's going to be wrestling for the championship. So, doesn't really matter. However, he got his win back. There used to be jokes about Hogan, right? He had to get his win back. AJ got his win back. The real reason I'm glad they did, LA Knight needs to stay as far away as possible as he can from Cody Rhodes. 2 reasons why. 1, don't make me pick between LA Knight and Cody Rhodes. That is not favorable for either side, by the way.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
no.
Who's hot? Who's hotter, right? I mean, my object would be, would you agree? We're going to talk about this a little bit. Maybe different shows is probably a smart move. You got a super hot baby face over here. Hey, why don't we get him away from the hot champion?
Yes.
Because he's always, in theory, you would hope that they're going to be far apart, right?
Yes. Milk him. Make it work. Don't waste him. Don't give him another title shot and him have to lose. Use your hot babyface champion. Use your hot babyface uh, LA Knight. Get your most out of them. Sell as much merch as possible. You got a hot heel, AJ Styles, who looks better than an AJ Styles action figure. You can't go to the store and buy an AJ Styles action figure that looks better than AJ Styles now.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The man looks like $1 million.
And by the way, I got some people thought Cody needed to go right into a new feud. There's nothing wrong with giving everybody you know how on pay-per-views there's a letdown match between two big matches.
Yeah.
We just finished this 2-year story, blah blah blah. Let's just have him have a great match with somebody on the next pay-per-view.
Like Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley. That match meant nothing at all. Nia Jax didn't even get on WrestleMania. But you got that great Rhea Ripley match on that pay-per-view to pause things. Didn't break, didn't start anything. You just got a nice pause. Then you got Becky at Mania. Worked out great.
Well, yeah, so do we think they made the right move?
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I definitely do.
So,
anyway. I definitely do. And I get to see two of my favorites on a pay-per-view. How about that?
Yep.
And now we're going to come out from Oklahoma. Jeff Tyler, Bixby, Oklahoma. Do you think the WWE Draft this week makes major changes in the product this time? Okay, so the draft starts this Friday and continues to this Monday. We're going to be on the road Friday. We're going to miss the draft. It'll probably be, and then we're going to be on the road Saturday. So it's going to be tough to get to see it. So the draft. What are the big changes you see coming out of the draft, Nick?
Well, for one, there's an idea and a hope, I guess you might say. NXT will benefit the most long term from this particular draft. So that's, I think, the major change we see. Now, look, we could all be wrong. We most likely could be. But our hopes and dreams are we're closer to NXT going back to, like, look, Triple H had a vision of a third brand and not just developmental with NXT when he was running it. Will it still be developmental? Yes. But will it be solely developmental? Like, I think you're going to see the move to CW, to me, they got to try to deliver. And that's going to become their broadcast show. It's on a broadcast network. It's not on cable. So they have an opportunity. If they put a good product out there, it could be doing $1.5 million and $2 million because it's that accessible. And I think so that's one. I think the big advantage, I think NXT could truly benefit by it. And we're going to get to how in a second. But I think ultimately, well, hey, let's go ahead and talk about something we talked about a minute ago off air. If that battle royal didn't scream to you that they need more women on Raw, because here's the problem. There's tons of women in that ring that I think are just super talented, but they're just not positioned. When that match started, we talked about it. 3 women I really thought had a legitimate chance to win. 3. We need somebody over. We'll throw some suggestions out in a minute.
Charisma. You need they're great wrestlers. And I like the I got my brain slipping again. The 2 badass ones.
Shayna Baszler
and her partner. Those 2 are badasses. I like Zoe Stark. I like those. I like those 2. Real legit. But Zoe Stark is not the charismatic one they need. The girl from Alpha Academy, Maxine, good, not really taking off. You got people you're developing still, but then you've got these automatic, just Roxanne Perez, heel, charismatic types that you could bring up and just bolster that. You've got people that did better in NXT than some of those other people on the roster. So there's some really good starts. The only problem you have with NXT is it's really corny at times. and use those people. That's character development. They're working on that. They're getting these people ready. Okay, that's good. But how do you go from that to third brand? How do you go from the mafia gimmick to third brand? How do you go from all the silly shit to third brand and Chase University to third brand? There's going to have to be some changes made. Well, getting bigger talent in there, like they've done with the Good Brothers. They did it with the Testament, the group you like so much.
New Testament. Yep.
They've had the OC, Gargano, Priest.
Yeah, they were all there last night. Like it made that show feel bigger than it probably was.
So it's helping.
Yeah.
It's working. Is that what they're going to do with them? I'd like to see it. I like NXT. You're getting great matches.
I think what you're asking is that, yeah, I think there's a way to develop it through the draft to elevate to where it's not the send down brand, like it's lateral moves, if that makes sense. Like, yes. Hey, if you're going in, look, we talked about it last week. Like, and I'm going to give you a name, and I'll give you a great reason as to why. If you live in Florida, like, there's every reason in the world you'd want to be on NXT. Hey, look, I'm on broadcast television. Yes, it's a CW, but still, I get paid main roster money, and I get to live at home, and I don't have to travel out of state really, except for PLEs that are on the road, whatever. But guys, look, I think the pieces, we're looking at, like you said, Damian Priest being there last night, Gargano, the OC, the New Testament, but the biggest example of all, Baron Corbin's revived his entire career by being there.
Yes.
So when we look at the draft, like I put down a couple names, like moves we want to see. I guess is Testament there? I mean, that's a question mark. I would say Testament there. They may already be there. So do they get drafted? I don't know. Maybe they get drafted. After Raw, this one popped into my head. Shinsuke Nakamura needs to go back to NXT.
Yes.
He lost to Sheamus. He lost the week before.
Used to be the hottest guy they had.
Mm-hmm.
But he just kind of faded.
Yep.
NXT would help him.
He lives in Florida.
Nice.
He might like that. He likes to surf. It might make him happy. Just saying. So, look, we clearly we talked about, we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Ilja to Raw, maybe. We're going to dive deeper into that one. I think that's a good move.
Mm-hmm.
LA to Raw because of what we just talked about. Get him get him the heck away from Cody. Because look, we're all assuming at this point Cody's going to SmackDown, right?
I think it'd be a good move.
Just because the belt he has was the SmackDown belt.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Priest title was the Raw belt. So I'm not saying he has to, but he kind of has to. So just move him over to SmackDown.
Continue. And then, you'd have to move the bloodline really to Raw to be able to split that feud back up.
They're always there. They're distracted, with other things. Clearly.
Oh, that's got good. That's got so good. We want Roman chants. What's happened?
You know what? Give them 6 months of chanting we want Roman before you give them Roman.
Yes. Now they're wrecking cars. They got Haku's kid. Shit's got real. Man.
It's going to be fun.
Oh.
And then my favorite that you're going to hate, I jokingly said, maybe it's time to move Kevin Owens to Raw because who better to feud with Sami Zayn over that title? Because they're buddies, they're friends. And then the turn comes. Because, look, Triple H loves both of those guys.
Yeah.
And, that's just my take. I think he would absolutely.
I'm getting to agree with you. Kevin Owens has done so much good for the company and so much good for things lately. So I'm becoming more of a KO fan. But there's some other talent that I'd like to see. And what are your takes on Tiffany Stratton? Where do you want to see her at?
I would think 100% she should be on Raw because of what we just talked about a minute ago. I think that she could add a depth that we were talking about, people that look like, all it's that she's doing. I think the crowd's ready for her. And I think that if you move her to Raw, she adds more depth to that roster that we just talked about with the glaring holes, right?
Yep.
From the Battle Royal. But the big one of all of it is when Charlotte returns, that's where she needs to be.
Oh, yeah. Charlotte is so damn good. Everywhere Charlotte is, she classes up. And then, since you're reminding me, SmackDown has got Damage Control, Bayley, Naomi,
Bianca,
Jade.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've concentrated the women on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So
because here's the secret piece to Charlotte. It's not just the depth. Get her the heck away from Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
They need to be separated apart for every they need to be, because look, if they're on the same brand, you're going to be tempted to put them against each other. Keep them apart.
Yeah.
If that match, to me, that match is a Mania match when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my
too.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I have every like, if you're going to hide, and that's a terrible word to use, but if you're going to kind of protect Jade Cargill with Naomi and Bianca, then get Charlotte off of that show so you're not even tempted to do it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yes. That is perfect.
So, yeah. But anyway, because that could be what, Myron? That could be a scary situation.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
And if you like scary situations, there's our friend William over at William Scary Things on YouTube. Check him out over there on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and all those good things. Turn those notifications on. William Scary Things. Are you a fan of the strange, mysterious, and unusual? Do you enjoy stories told firsthand about creepy experiences? UFO encounters, ghostly apparitions, near-death and afterlife experiences, even parallel universes? Well, if so, you need to check out the YouTube channel William Scary Things. It is a new, albeit determined channel. William was influenced as a kid by books, movies, stories, all that were passed down by his friends and family, and they all had a creepy theme. What started out as a scary story narration is now a long-form interview process with people who have experienced weird and unusual things firsthand. Do you want to hear about a house with the former owners that were laid to rest right in the front yard? Yeah, told by yours truly. Well, if so, William Scary Things has you covered. How about a witness to the Phoenix Lights, probably the most renowned UFO sighting in modern history? Maybe you want to hear about a first-hand encounter with a ghostly apparition late one night with Ida photo to boot. No problem. William's got you covered there too. Were you a fan of the Scary Stories to Tell and Dark Book series as a kid? Want to learn more about the Solway Firth spaceman? Well, if so, it's all right there. So head on over to William Scary Things and check out his latest episodes and give him a like, subscribe to the channel, heck, leave a comment. Trust me, there's nothing to be scared of. That's right, man. Check out William Scary Things. Like, subscribe, turn those notifications on. If you're into that whole paranormal thing, it is for you.
Man.
All right, brother. Well, let's keep it rolling, man.
I'm all fidgety and nervous and scary because of some of the questions coming up, Nick. But our friend John Bryant from Ashburn, Virginia, asked the question, do you guys think that Trick Williams winning the NXT title was a way to launch Ilja Dragunov to the main roster? Well, since Trick Williams had to leave NXT if he lost, yes, because they weren't going to get rid of Trick Williams. They had to give him the belt. Dragunov doesn't have the belt. Dragunov didn't have to leave, but he did so good when he was on Raw the other day. I think it's time for him to go up to the main roster. I think he can handle the main roster, but where would he fit in on the main roster, Nick? What's your...
Well, we discussed Raw. Like, when we talked about the draft, the reason you draft him to Raw, I don't know if this is what they're planning, and Imperium clearly had issues and there's a split there. Does he fit into that piece? Like, that's where I thought. Like I said, he was on the Raw after Mania, did very well. I'm sure that it was just kind of like a tease to say, hey, watch this guy wrestle. He's really good. And then when you bring him back, it's not like, who's this guy? Like, you've at least seen him if you're a Raw fan. You've watched it on TV. So the answer is yes. I think that's what they were doing. Plus, honestly, they cemented Trick as the new face. Did you ever think the day would come as NXT was going off the air, the fans were all chanting, "Whoop that Trick"?
That's the part I don't like about Trick Williams. It's the whoop that Trick chance. Jesus.
Look, it's all about crowd interaction, and to me, that's where wrestling has become.
Yes.
Creating something the fans can chant along with.
Well, that's the hook, man. If you get them chanting, they're into it. They're into it 100%. And I can work with that. I can go along with that. But I don't like that particular chant. I hope he can carry it. I don't know if he's got the charisma to carry it besides his chant. I hope that he has it. We will see. Is he going to be the one they pick first in their draft? I guess they will pick their champion first.
I'm guessing champions have to stay, maybe.
Well, then Cody has to stay, but you want him to switch.
No, I don't want him to switch. I'm saying that belt is exclusive to SmackDown.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll have to figure it all out because I'm confused as hell again. But our good friend Kenny Vincent from Burton, South Carolina wants to know, with you guys like Gunther and McIntyre, what did I say Gunther for? Gunther and McIntyre entering the King of the Ring tournament, do you think Triple H is trying to restore it to its glory days? Glory days. I mean, I miss King of the Ring. It used to be amazing.
It used to be a launching point for guys' careers. Austin, Brett. I mean, there were guys that would win that tournament and then they would go on that run. And so, yeah, I think Hunter, obviously from that era, appreciates that tournament and what it meant. Because you remember, there was a time he was supposed to win the year Austin won.
Yeah.
Curtain call put a ding on that. But look, it's a chance. So here's what you can do. Guys like McIntyre, Gunther. Let me ask you a question. Before they said it on Raw, did you even remember who won last year? Point taken.
Until they told me Xavier Woods, I'm like,
yeah,
he
point
won.
Made. Yeah.
Was that last year?
Yeah.
I'm like, last year. I was like, did that happen back when he was hot? When did that happen? I don't remember that.
That's what I'm saying. They need a guy. Two things. One, this is the rare occasion where in the past the King of the Ring made somebody. They almost need somebody to make King of the Ring important again.
Oh, that's a good way to put that. That's a really good way to put that.
By the way, his name is Gunther. That's just my take.
Or General.
Ain't nothing wrong with making McIntyre the guy.
McIntyre's being a badass, and he's been short a couple of times, so it may be time to get him his not just his win, but his tournament.
Because when is so that's May 25th. I can't remember when is the Clash at the Castle pay-per-view.
All I know is we're getting a lot of good overseas wrestling. It would be a lot of good wrestling. But
guess what? It's June 15th. That's a few weeks later. What's a great argument to have why you should be wrestling for a title at a pay-per-view?
Scotland. At a pay-per-view in Scotland.
I just won King of the Ring.
Yeah.
There's your
Scotland.
Case.
I'm the king in a castle.
So there's your argument.
And I'm from Scotland, and I've got a kilt and a giant sword. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the whole argument. And it's the main event.
But I think, yes, I do think that's the case. So anyway, let's keep it rolling. I know we got a few more to go here.
Oh, here's the question that's had me all jittery, Nick. And I watched this last night. But I'm going to ask the question first. Eric Lynn, Kingsley, Idaho. No, Iowa. What did you guys think of the greatest match in U.S. history tag being dropped on the Ospreay versus Daniel match at AEW Dynasty? One, I think Dave Meltzer needs to have the taste slapped out of his mouth. And he also needs to retire. Because that wasn't. Now, it was a great match. I thought it was a great match. What did you think, Nick?
You called it boring.
Yes, because it was an athletic match. It was combat sports like wrestling. I know they are predetermined. So a really good match is not as entertaining to me as a match I care about, where I feel like there's something on the line, where I'm emotionally involved. So Meltzer said this match was better than Flair and Steamboat. Which of the trilogy Flair and Steamboat is he talking about? Which of the part of the feud was he talking about?
Can I ask you a question, though?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. You don't know why I'm saying thank you, but thank you. It depends on the wrestling you like. That's the key to what you just said. It depends on what you like. I thought the match was spectacular. Do I think it was the greatest match in history? I do not. Everybody knows I will still stand behind the greatest WrestleMania match of all times as a match that was not that great in the ring.
Exactly.
I think this is for what Meltzer likes, he may be correct. Notice the disclaimer in the front of it. For what Meltzer likes, he may be correct. If he likes that style, it's all pure like as far as the work rate style. Sure. It's kind of so the story that you wanted, you kind of had to look at it and understand. Like my take was, the story was both men claim they're the absolute best wrestlers in the world, and they were going to get in there and they were going to find out who it was. Now, is that storytelling? No, that's an angle to make a match. But there was still the story there. The story, what it meant was the guy that walked out of that match today, well, Sunday technically, Will Ospreay could argue he was the greatest wrestler in the world now because he defeated the guy that most people said, and a lot of people do say that, by the way. A lot of people say Bryan Danielson was the greatest wrestler in the world. Okay, if it is, then he got beat by Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay can now make the case he's the best wrestler in the world. Again, not saying it's true. I'm just saying he can make that case. The style match that it was, that match was up there. I will not lie to you. I completely was like, at the match, when it was over, I was like, holy cow, that was a ride and a half. But you had to, like, here's the other thing. I also knew exactly what I was getting going into it. Like, I kind of figured that's what it was going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I did have a weird, so backpedal up. I don't want to go there yet. So I think, yes, was it overstated? Well, 100%, because by the way, that's the world we live in. we live in that.
You are correct, sir. You are 100% correct, sir.
Everything is hyperbole in wrestling. Everything by the way, it ain't just wrestling, folks. It's the world we live in. Notice I didn't say wrestling. I always tell people when it comes to movies, when it comes to TV shows, when it comes to music, insert whatever.
The greatest ever.
There's generally, most things in life are not as good as everybody says they are or as bad as they say they are. Everybody will tell you, it was horrible. And then I'll watch the movie and go, that wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I had fun for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever the movie is. Same thing with games. Same thing with, movies, wrestling, blah, 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 blah. Why I'm going there is I will say this. After watching this match and your reaction to this match, something hit me.
Okay.
If you watched Ospreay and Danielson and you didn't enjoy that match, I'm not sure you should ever watch AEW again, because I think that right there was the epitome of Tony Khan. When he envisioned in his brain AEW, that was it. That match is the epitome, I think, of what he wants that company to be.
I think you're right. I don't have a single problem with that. I don't have any ill will towards this company, but I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in it at all. There are times where if I can believe in something, I'd rather watch two old fat guys have a match that I'm involved in than watch a performance like that. That's like dance to me. That's like a dance routine. It's not something I'm emotionally invested in. Wrestling is an escape for me that I get involved with the storyline. I get involved with these people. I listen to the commentators, and if to me the commentators could not do anything that made me emotionally involved, and that struck me as why these people, Tony Schiavone and these other people, couldn't do anything that made me interested in what they were doing. Was there anything wrong with their work? No. They're phenomenal, talented workers. But look at night one of WrestleMania. 65,000 people in attendance for one of the greatest matches ever. Because everybody wanted to see what was going to, not how good the match was. They wanted to see what was going to happen. What was the Rock going to turn on Roman? Was Seth going to get hurt? How was that going to work? It was Cody going to lose, and it was going to be bloodline rules. That was built from the Rock slapping him, and the Rock handed his mama the bloody belt. That's how you build a storyline to a match, and that's how you make people care. And that's how you make Myron want to watch wrestling.
Here's the thing. There's two things I want to plug here. One, we did a Coffee and Crossfaces this morning where we discussed this match specifically. It is behind the paywall, $10 or higher. There's some takes on there that are pretty interesting. Two, we're doing one tomorrow morning. I would love for you to hear this episode. I'll make sure you get it. Two people. One sponsor, one level high enough they specifically requested to do this. Has not watched AEW in over a year, a year and a half. As we record it is Wednesday morning. Dynamite will be tonight. They're going to watch Dynamite tonight, and tomorrow morning. They're going to give me their honest takes of somebody who has not watched anything on Dynamite or Collision in over a year and share their thoughts on Behind the Paywall. That should be fun. I'm curious to hear that one. So make sure patreon.com/taptapod. You can be a member on YouTube as well, by the way.
Let me give, and we talked about attendance, but let me give you a simple fact. The night before their big pay-per-view, they drove 3,000 people. 3,000 people to Collision. WB drew 16,000 to a house show in England the other night.
That's not fair. Let's be honest. That's not fair. They don't go to the UK like as often. So like that.
Okay. They've
yeah.
sold out every Raw and SmackDown
going
for the
into
last
Mania.
3 or 4 months. No, they're still selling them out, Nick.
No, they're not. The last couple have not been sellouts. Based on WrestleTix, they have not. Look, it's not a lot. It's 100, 200, 300, 900. But they're not sellouts. So you can say it. It's not true, but you could say it. But my point was, if you want, the problem, you walk a slippery slope here. If it's all about ticket sales, AEW holds the world's record as far as for All In last year at Wembley. So that's why, but that's part two of why, again, there's a whole crowd thing that we discussed on the indie show this week about why I think you got to compare internally to yourself. Is it good they're drawing 3,000? No, I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying it's not fair to compare a company that's been around for 5 years to one that's been around for decades in back history. That's just not thing. It's not completely fair. By the way, it's also part two. I'm going to come all full circle back to your story to Ric Flair and Steamboat. The reason that comparison's not fair, because there's more story. They had 10 years to build, because they had their history at Mid-Atlantic, which by the time they got to the trilogy, which everybody thinks is great, let's forget all of the matches they wrestled that probably weren't that as great. I'm not saying they were bad. They weren't as great, because they'll tell you they've wrestled hundreds of times before they got to their trilogy, right?
Yeah.
That's the first time Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay been in a ring together. and they wrestled that match.
But you're still comparing that match to the Flair Steamboat match. That's what Meltzer's doing. So I'm comparing that match to the Ospreay Daniel Bryan match.
Do you want the hot take of the show?
Okay.
That match was a better technical match than Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
Of course it was a better technical match. Those guys are phenomenal technical wrestlers.
So Meltzer's correct.
Meltzer's correct about that.
No, that's my point. You said it wasn't.
No. I'm not going to talk about technical. I'm talking about the match quality. There's a lot more to a wrestling match than technical.
But when Meltzer put that tag on it, that is what he uses as the metric. He doesn't say it's the best story ever told. It's none of that. He did not say that. He just when he does star ratings and all that, it's based off of work, and we know that. By the way, that's what I'm saying. Is his metric system wrong? Yes, I would 100% agree with that statement. But when somebody asks me, was Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson a better technical match than Ric Flair and, Ricky Steamboat? Yes, it was. And you said it was. That was your words, not mine.
The two of them could not.
And for the record, I'm going to catch you before you say something. Bryan Danielson, there are 3 former world champions who make a case, one in WWE, one not in WWE anymore, and one who's, yes, he's in AEW, but he was a Jeff Jarrett, says that Bryan Danielson is the best in-ring storyteller on the planet today. I don't know that. I don't necessarily think I don't know if I agree with that or not, but I'm just saying that's what's said. And those people know more than me. I think where we get caught up in this argument, this goes back to, remember what we were talking about, like the picking sides and all of that stuff? Here's that argument. The preconceived notion of I don't like AEW, so this match, this statement cannot be accurate. I think it's accurate.
Okay. You're right. See, here's I will give you something. This is, here to me, the hurdle WWE has to do for something to be terrific. Up here is the hurdle AEW has to do for something to be okay. That's the true story. I'm always going to hold them to a higher standard because I've been told they're the hottest thing since sliced bread. They're so much better because these people get on the internet and all they do is talk about how great it is, how great it is, how great it is. And yet every time I tune in, they can't do anything to make me happy. I might as well be married to them.
But that goes back to what I said in the beginning. Is that on you versus them? Because this match is the epitome of what they're going to be. If you didn't like this, that's at that point, like you kind of, and you're saying your bar's higher because it's AEW. Shouldn't it be lower because your expectations of them are lower? You should expect more out of WWE to be, so that you would think your scale would be reversed. You would expect something more out of WWE to be better because they are. By the way, here's the flip. Nick's reversing it to the point of saying WWE is the gold standard in wrestling, in my opinion. They really are. I expect their production to be better. I expect their, athlete maybe because there's so many great athletes out there. I'm not saying that's true. But like storytelling, they've got better creative team because they got a better history, blah, 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 all of that. They should be the better product. I mean, true. I mean, I'm asking. That's the question. Like, should they be? Yeah,
it should be the better product by far.
Okay.
And I'm usually happy with whatever they do, though, because I love what they do. So it's easier to make me happy.
Right.
Okay.
But this should be the reverse.
It's like different political parties. It's like the political party you like doesn't have to do things as well to make you happy. The political party you don't like has to do stuff really great to make you happy, but doesn't have to do things like and then the political party you like has to do something really messed up to make you mad. The political party you don't
let's
like.
Let's go to something we like. Let's something that we can relate to better.
Okay.
Restaurants, food.
Restaurants. Okay. Yes. I like restaurants.
Okay. Think of your favorite, and this is you. So, by the way, if you're listening, follow along here.
And I've got a great argument coming up later on for a different episode too.
One, think of your favorite restaurant. Something that every time you go there, you're like, I love this place. This is your favorite in your brain.
Okay.
Okay, think of a competitor now that you've gone through a couple times, and it's okay. You like going there, but it's not as good. It's not as Are you disappointed more if you go to your favorite restaurant and the service and the food's just a little bit, it's not as good?
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you went to now the same quality at that restaurant that you don't like, that you don't go to as often, if it was better than usual, you're surprised. And you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. That was pretty good. That's better than they normally are. But see, that's my sliding scale there. That's why I'm saying by the way, this is great audio podcasting where we're using our hands to show things. So it's the bar should be higher on your favorite over the thing that's not your favorite, but you still go to every time. If I went
it's like the eggs at Waffle House and the eggs at IHOP.
If you got IHOP eggs, if you got eggs if you got IHOP eggs at Waffle House, you'd be pissed.
Yes.
But if you got Waffle House eggs at IHOP, you'd be thrilled.
Oh my God, these are the greatest eggs ever.
Yeah, point made. But look, let's go ahead and jump in there's some other stuff that happened on the pay-per-view that we want to address. So go ahead and ask that next question.
Okay, here we go. Lee Adams, Chandler, Arizona. Are you guys excited about the return of Jack Perry and which direction you think they're going with him? You know what I'm excited about Jack Perry's return? Is it if CM Punk can hit him again, Nick?
Yeah, well, here's the problem. The problem with the Jack Perry thing is two things, and I'm going to do them. It was one, there's zero payoff to come out of this. Does that make sense? Nothing. Yes. He's not going to get to wrestle Punk. No. The best thing you're going to get is he's going to wrestle somehow involved because look, he's clearly going to join the Bucks, and they're going to have a thing with the FTR. And here's the question: who do you put with FTR? They'll come up with somebody. There'll be somebody, but it ain't going to be Punk. After that feud, then what?
So you made Punk out to be a heel by exposing on national television. Or did you make him out to be a heel because the Bucks are heels? You bring Perry back, make Perry with the Bucks. Then he'd be a heel, but then you make Punk a good guy if Punk punched a heel, but then he doesn't believe in faces and heels. So I'm so confused. I don't know what I'm watching, Nick.
They used it as a device, theoretically. That the story that you're being told is they used it as the footage as a device to blame FTR for the loss. The heels FTR. Does that make sense? FTR is friends with Punk, and Punk's issues caused them to be distracted. That's why they lost to them at All In. It was FTR using their friend to help. That look, I understand it. I do understand it. It makes sense, sort of. I covered myself and said sort of. But here's the problem: I didn't care for Jack Perry before he was gone. I'm not going to kick Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I had zero interest in.
What? Why do you keep signing 145-pound wrestlers?
Look, they have their place. It's not him. It's just I didn't care about the character. Does that make sense? There are small guys everywhere. I just don't think he just didn't have any appeal. And I don't think this is going to help him any because he doesn't look nothing. He's got this scapegoat with a leather jacket. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing screams tough guy off of this guy.
Especially not seeing him get punched in the face and owned by CM Punk.
So I just look, my argument's simple. I don't know. I'm not excited about Jack Perry's return. I don't care how they use him, where they go, what direction they go with him. I hope they prove me wrong. I really do.
So you're not excited anything about Jack Perry?
None.
Well, even if he wrestled Bryan Danielson.
Look, here's the thing. They might have a decent match. Jack Perry's not a terrible wrestler in the sense of the word. I just don't care about him. So could they go in there and have a good match? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen that match happen yet. But am I going to be excited to see it? Nope.
Where should we go to see decent matches, Nick?
I'll tell you what, man. There is one place. If you are here locally, up in Canton, it's not this weekend, folks. It is the next weekend. Southern Honor Wrestling.
Attention wrestling fans. Join us Friday, May 3rd for SHW 62. Live from the Action Building in Canton, Georgia. Featuring special guest matchmaker, Paul Walter Hauser. Plus, 2 rings, 1 cage as the hierarchy and the in-game collide in the War Chamber. All this and so much more. Tickets on sale at the door the night of the show starting at 5 p.m. Doors open at 7, bell time at 8. Invite all your friends and come see why we are SHW and this is our wrestling.
That's right, man. Our old friends up at Southern Honor Wrestling, man. Always a blast to check them out. Yeah. May 3rd, it's a Friday, folks. Head up to Canton at the Action Building.
Yeah.
War Chamber, dude. It's going to be off the chart, so you definitely want to check it out.
I tell you what, whenever you go around and hear other ring announcers, you really realize how good Diana Michelle is. So she's just an absolute gem. Carmen Childers really good too. Ronnie Van Zant up there at SCA is doing a pretty good job. I can't remember the guy's name. Blake, I think his name is. He looks like Ronnie Van Zant though. I can't remember his real name.
All right, man. Well, take us home. What's the last question we got there?
TNA Impact killed it on their pay-per-view. Highest numbers ever. Did better. It proves you build stories.
Bruce Harding, Union, Ohio.
Oh, I don't see that part.
Bruce Harding, Union, Ohio. What'd you guys think of the TNA pay-per-view Hard to Kill this past weekend? I'll read the last question there.
Okay.
All right.
What did we think? I think they're killing it, Nick. I think they're doing better than they ever have. Better than Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, Nick. How do you beat that? How do you beat 2 of the greatest of all times wrestling?
Listen, I tell you, man, the numbers are, I mean, they're all on here. We got them like, do they think they're going to be around 66,000 maybe, I think you said? I mean, I don't know how in the world are they doing pay-per-view buys at such a high rate? This is like beating stuff when they were on Spike.
Yes.
They were on a national television cable channel, and now they're on the most obscure cable channel you can potentially find, and they're still killing. Like, put it to you in perspective. There are weeks on their TV show that this is what watches it.
Yeah.
And when you exponentially put it out, that means the pay-per-views could be potentially beating the TV show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, when I tried to find this to put it on my DVR, if I didn't have it on the DVR, I'd never be able to find it. It took me forever just to find the show to put it on the DVR.
Yeah.
That channel's obscure AF, but it's worth it. It's good quality wrestling.
Yeah.
Moose, Nick Nemeth, Matt Hardy, obsolete.
Delete. Yeah, exactly.
Remember that? How good that was? And then you told me it was 8 years ago.
You forgot how old it was.
During the pandemic, did we all just pause time?
Seemed like it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Look, between Hardy's coming back, you got Nick Nemeth there, Moose is there. I know you're not, and I'm not a big fan of Callahan either, but he's there. I mean, look, there's all this talent coming in and out. I don't know that we can bang this drum much more other than saying, if you're not watching if you're not watching TNA, look, it took me forever to get from TNA to Impact. Now I'm struggling to get back from Impact to TNA again. But if you're not watching it, like, YouTube, man,
yeah,
go watch it. If you just go out of your way. It's some of the best wrestling out there. And look, we've got some friends who work there.
Yep.
And I can't recommend it enough. $1 Million Kicker, we talked a little bit about behind the paywall a little while back about what if Vince starts another wrestling company. And I kind of jokingly said, what if Vince actually just bought TNA? Because I think this thing's closer than you think. as of recording yesterday, I think the news broke that they're pushing that thing to mediation.
Yeah, I heard that.
If this thing gets quietly mediated, settled, and goes away, that day's closer than most people think. If he wants to really stick it to TKO for kind of, look, it was his fault. Disclaimer, I'm telling you this. It's his fault. But they pushed him out with cause. But he's going to come back and
he pushed it out.
Listen, I'm just saying. I get it. He's literally, it was his fault. But he is literally like, if he wants to stick it to him, TNA's the best option he's got, in my opinion. That's if he wants revenge on TKO, buy TNA and roll with it, man. That's my best advice. So, look, we talked about it behind the paywall, and of course that is over on our YouTube channel. Like it, subscribe, turn the bell on. But then, most importantly, if you want all the extras that we're starting to do, the interviews early, the show early, the bonus content we're doing, multiple things a week now, we're adding that content. Become a member there or on our Patreon, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Or, look, all of this stuff, by the way, is not going to be here, but the weekly shows, the 2 weekly shows, they are on audio. Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartMedia, everywhere, anywhere and everywhere there's a podcast platform. By the way, I heard the first one ever. Somebody messaged me today and said, hey, you're not on this. And I was like, I'm going to have to check that out today and see, because I thought we were everywhere. But give us a follow, like it, all that good stuff there. Make sure you're subscribing so you don't miss any of the main 2 shows every single week. And give us a 5-star rating and review if you would appreciate. We'd appreciate it more than anybody. But before we get out of here, Myron, we've got a little bit of time left, so just kind of tell everybody. You took a crazy trip. Yeah, real quick trip out of the state.
Rode up to North Carolina to see my friend Dave Wills, old Dave Wills, the still real to me Dave Wills, managed the Barbarian in a match. Wrestling's different apparently in North Carolina. The wrestling is handled differently, but it was great to see Dave manage the Barbarian. They got into a tag team, worked face. Dave is a hell of a manager. A Superstar Wars Wrestling met Tugboat. Tugboat wasn't even charging for autographs. Spent some time with Bob. Well, he wasn't charging for pictures. Bob Cook, got to meet him. Bad Bob Cook. Passed along a message from Seabolt to him. Spent some time with a lot of guys I wouldn't have normally got to talk to. I really, really had a good time. Spent some time with Scotty and some other folks. I love going to wrestling shows like this and seeing people. And, Dave has introduced me to so many people over the years. It was an honor to be there. Thanks for inviting me, Dave. Had a great time. Hilton Garden Inn by the interstate there in Gastonia. Really nice hotel. The bed sucked. But anything else, I give them an endorsement on. I got to eat Applejack cereal for breakfast. Make me happy. Give me some coffee and sugar cereal.
Yeah, well, I'm glad Dave got to pull, he finally got to check that box off his bucket list things he wanted to do. I know that was a big thing for him. Fortunately, I got stuck. I worked late. I barely made it to Southern Fried.
I gotta see the video of that show. I'm so excited to see what they did.
Yeah, real cool stuff. But, man, I told you that was going to be a full mailbag. We got through it all. Glad we did. Anything else before we get out of here, man?
No, man, I'm excited. This weekend we got some great shows going up. Action and Disruptor. Look forward to seeing y'all there. Anybody got any questions, just send them to us, and we'll work on another episode like this. We're always there, folks.
Yep, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Just keep the questions coming. We greatly appreciate it, man. And, well, if there's nothing left, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.